Okay, this hour we're going to take your phone calls now with Robert Gleason and Whitley Strieber as we talk about their work, Apocalypse 2012 and 2012, The War of Souls. That's all next on Coast to Coast AM. And welcome back to Coast, Robert Gleason with us, Whitley Strieber, of course. We're going to take your phone calls in just a second here as we talk about all this. So, Whitley, give us your best guess, and that's what it will be, and we'll get to you, Bob, on what you think could happen during this time period.
Well, my worst fear is that we get impacted by something. That my best hope is that a lot of things, good things that are happening here, continue and expand. For example, that we get through the economic crisis, that efficiencies in manufacturing cause us not to end up with the kind of shortages I was talking about earlier, that things like the incredible decline in deforestation in the Amazon keep on. Do you know that in the past year, the rate of deforestation of the Amazon has decreased by 45%? That things like the lifting of the pall of smog over Mexico City. In the past 5 years, they've done incredible things in Mexico City to relieve the smog problem. That expands to other cities around the world, that we continue to plateau and then to decline in our use of oil and fossil fuels so that we don't run out and prices don't get prohibitively high. All of this stuff could happen. There could even be an outbreak of peace. It could happen. I mean, it's happened before a couple times in history for a few minutes.
Or how about you, Bob Gleason?
What do I think is going to happen in 2012?
Yeah.
It may be just instinctive on my part. I don't quite share. I share the hope that that some things will get better, but it seems to me that there's a lot of stuff that's going to have to just simply work its way out. I don't see any remedy for the financial situation. What's happened to the U.S. currency? I think it's going to be there's horrendous water shortages that are facing the world right now in the Atlanta, Georgia. The Lake Lanier is drying up, and the Atlantic is having difficulty finding sources for water. The Lake Superior is dried up to the extent that we can no longer float fully loaded freighters on it. There's over 30 states are now suing each other in the court system over water rights. It's like on the frontier where there's the big war over water holes and stuff, and it's reached horrendous proportions in India, China. It's the great glaciers of the Himalayas are vanishing, which will just deplete so many major rivers in India and China and Nepal. There's just a whole lot of crises that just seem to me that are just going to have to work themselves out, and I think 2012 has come to kind of symbolize these catastrophes that we're just going to simply have to deal with, and I don't think it's going to be pretty, and I think we are I don't see any evidence that that we're going to become so efficient in our use of oil that we're not going to go through a very severe energy crisis.
Right.
And,
I think you're both right.
Well, I can't disagree with Bob. What I'm saying is I hope it's not like this, and there's a possibility it won't be.
I think that you have to. It's only prudent to have contingency plans to prepare for catastrophic events. It's only prudent, and unfortunately, we don't seem to be very good at that. We tend to want, and you see the same thing in the business community. All they care about is how much money am I going to make this quarter, and we seem to have that same attitude toward catastrophe prevention.
We'll see where the Chinese, Bob and Whitley, think long term.
Absolutely.
That's the big difference. Let's go to the phones. We'll go to Crystal, truck driving around in Nevada. Hello, Crystal. You're on with us for Whitley, Bob, or both. Go ahead.
Actually, all three. I just had a programming suggestion. 2012, the show for Friday night. Shouldn't that be on Thursday? Shouldn't that be on Thursday night? Tonight, I mean, it's how do you know you're going to be on the air Friday night? There's only 2 hours left on the West Coast.
Do I recognize that voice?
I don't know. Do you know Crystal, the truck driver, Bob?
Yeah, I've had Crystal. We've talked before.
How about that? Okay.
Yeah, on the radio.
Was that when you were on with me in June, Bob?
Yeah.
You got an incredible memory,
Yeah,
my
he
man.
does have an incredible memory.
God. Well, now let's see about this. Now, my plan is Friday night because it's the 21st, but she could be right. Thursday could be our last show.
Yeah, but we don't start. When exactly on December the 21st, 2012 is this going to happen?
It could be now, right?
Well, it's supposed to be. My understanding is it's supposed to happen at 11:11 Universal PM Universal time, which is I used to call it Greenwich Meridian time, which is which in terms of the United States would be happening late. Would be happening later than what would that be? About 8 hours later than.
No, I think we're behind.
You know.
We're behind.
Yeah, we're right. They are. They are ahead of us.
So if we can go on the air, we will. Otherwise, if something does happen at that time, it would already have happened in the afternoon in this country. So we won't even have to worry about going on the air.
It'll be close to Christmas, so I'll be with my kids in St. Louis. I'll be in the cave broadcasting, so I'll be 8 feet under. We're okay here.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go next to John in Los Angeles. First-time caller. Hey, John, thanks for calling. Go ahead.
Hey, George, thanks. Hey, guys, you talked about preparation, and I absolutely believe in it. In fact, I live in California where we face the prospect of a disastrous earthquake at almost any time. But the problem is that we can't get anyone to prepare. I have friends and family. I can't get them to store a lousy gallon of water or buy extra batteries. So what's the secret to preparation? How do I reach them? How do I get them to do it?
Well, that's a good question. I'm sitting here in an apartment in Santa Monica, and not 15 feet away from me in a closet is 2 weeks worth of food and water, and well stored.
I thought you were going to say you had Ann in the closet there. So.
No, Ann sleep in the bedroom, in one of the bedrooms. But my point is that anyone living in an earthquake zone, or frankly, just about anywhere nowadays, should have enough to survive at least for a period of time. What we have here is enough to survive for literally for 2 weeks. I mean, we could just stay in this apartment for 2 weeks, assuming it was intact. And we've got the food and water we need. We've got adequate batteries. I've worked it out very carefully, and absolutely anyone, should do the same. It's just
that's a good idea. In 2 weeks, probably Whitley will give you enough time to figure out what the heck's going on outside.
The riots will be over by then.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly. And if you can afford it, if you have it, to have some hard currency too, some cash.
Well, I realize that those are all good ideas,
yeah.
But people are so bloody complacent all the time. It's like
until it happens, Joe.
Well, yeah, and then all of a sudden there's a scramble to get down to the local Ralph's supermarket to pick up. Oh, we got to get water. We got to get batteries. We need to get diapers for the kids, whatever it may be. They store nothing, and you cannot make them get off their butts and do anything in this regard.
When the weather forecasters, specifically here in the Midwest, when I'm here, have a forecast of heavy snow, the stores get hit, and the two major commodities that get ripped off the shelf, bread and milk, gone all the time. But, what would happen in that kind of a disaster? Whitley, I keep an emergency kit. Bob Crane was selling one on several years ago, and it's just, it's got what you have. It's got an emergency radio. It's got the flashlight. It's got some water in it and things like that.
Yeah.
Not going to last me 2 weeks, but it's probably smart to do that.